Hello, everyone. And so today, this is going to be a good example on documentary photography. I'm actually on location at a spot that I'm going to be photographing a subject, and that subject and that story revolves around wholesaling. So this is why I'm in front of this vacant lot, and so we're going to photograph that subject, and then we're going to analyze those photos. We're not going to be going over the technical aspects of photography, the lighting, the shade, and all this good stuff. That's not important for what we want to, what the message I'm trying to portray here. What I want to portray here is teaching you all how to tell the story. So what we'll do is we'll photograph this gentleman, and then we'll analyze those photos, and then we'll actually go over some examples of why I did what I did, and this will also help you all when you're in your own particular form of photography, whether it be documentary, whether it be any other aspect. Documentary photography just does not stand for news. It's going to be used across the entire spectrum. Sometimes you may find yourself wanting to do a art show, and you may have to have a certain theme, but you've also got to be able to tell a story about that particular show. So documentary photography is just not just locked into one particular tenet of photography. It's a wide ranging spectrum, and it's probably what I would probably say consider is one of the most important parts of photography, because if you can't tell a story through your lens, then it kind of defeats the purpose of being a photographer. So you've got to learn the what I call the ground level of photography, which is basically telling that story and captivating that viewer. The viewer should automatically be captivated by what you're photographing. It should almost automatically know exactly what's going on without even having to ask you about the photo. So we'll do that, and then we'll hop over in the Lightroom and we'll take a look. So the first thing that we're going to discuss today is we're going to talk about some of the inserts here in the text from Storytelling for Photojournalists. This book is pretty good. It's a little bit dated, but it still gives those good nuggets about information that you'll need in your journey into documentary photography. For those who don't know, I've been doing this for quite a while. This is, I think, having to stop and think, I've been doing it for so long. This is my 12th year as a photographer. Majority of my work is usually commercial, but a lot of it is editorial. And so editorial goes right hand in hand with documentary photography. And so I had a couple of inserts here highlighted. I think I had one or two that I might have unhighlighted, but I can still kind of put my hands on them. And here's one right here. One of the things that when you're dealing with documentary photography is you want to make sure that you know what you're walking into, and just basically it's just taking the scene for what it is. I think a lot of times people tend to overanalyze what they are basically looking at doing or achieving, and so when you do that, that's when you lose focus of exactly what's going on, and you find yourself missing a lot of opportunities. I know when I started out as a wedding photographer, one of the things that I used to always would do was overanalyze, and so therefore I would miss some moments. But once I stopped doing that and started just soaking in whatever was given to me, that's when my work went to another level. It says here, you don't need to know exactly what you're going to find out, otherwise where's the fun? Which is what I just basically stated, but you would need to have an inspiration and enough passion to start your inquiry. Are you aware of something going on that you could be a good topic for an article? So, and here at the bottom it says, again, it says what kind of magazine might be interested in publishing it. If you have an established business relationship with the magazine, go ahead and talk about your idea with the editor. The feedback will help you find out what's the best angle. So basically, this is almost carbon copy of what I get when I go into an assignment. It's basically it's usually reversed. The editor of the magazine is reaching out to me to talk to me about a particular assignment, as we stated earlier in the video, and so then I have to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So let's move on here. One of the things when it comes to inspiration, I highlighted this because this is actually true, and this is something that you're going to see a lot of.
from time to time. It says, if I get excited about exploring the matter, I will try to find out more about it and what kind of potential it may have as a story. Uh, Stick to something that you are really interested in exploring for one person or another, and keep your feelers up all the time. All right, so for the majority of you all, this is going to tie right into something that I'm going to be really pushing in this class, and that's personal work. You cannot wait for work to come to you, especially if you're just starting out, which is the majority of people here. If you're just starting out, then you're going to have to start going to look for work. Things are starting to open up now with the pandemic. This is an opportunity to go visit. Maybe you want to photograph automotive, men who work on cars. Maybe you want to photograph women who wear hats on Sundays. These are different avenues that you can use to go out and build a portfolio that will allow you to be competitive once you are done with this program. If you do not do personal work, and you're probably not going to make it in this business, because you've got to have something to show that you can actually achieve the work. People aren't just going to hire you because you can take photos. It doesn't work that way. The majority of the work that you see that garners the most attention is normally personal work. I can tell you, I've got 2 assignments. If you go to my website, you will look up under personal work. You'll see the Marine is one that garnered me some pretty good work. And also there's another project about a taxidermist. That project about a taxidermist was the one that allowed me to showcase my talents that other photo editors were able to see and say, okay, you know what, this guy can tell stories even in the most morbid type environment. And so that's what you want to be able to do, because you want to be able to have that opportunity to showcase your talent that can showcase that you can get the job done. So how does that all tie into documentary photography? Because if you're going to be hired to do a portrait, as we stated early in the video, and we're going to look at those examples in just a second. If you're hired to do a particular assignment, then you've got to be able to tell the story. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move over to a new screen share here, and we're going to go to Bloomberg here. Let me see. Nope, it's New York Times. We'll do some New York Times stuff so you can kind of get an idea of what's what. Let's see if I can find some of my old assignments here. Let me see. Let's see if I can find 1 or 2 here. Sometimes I can usually type my name in and find them. Let's see, New York Times, Matt Odom Photography, Matt Odom, MRT. Yep, here we go. All right, so pandemic convinces airline workers it's time for new horizons. All right, so this is a story I did right after the pandemic opened up last year. I worked on, as we see, there's a different other photographers here. Well, we've got Sarah Huniyun, and we've got a couple of other people here. And then here's my portrait. This is the portrait I photographed of Robert Browning Vaughn II. He's a retired pilot with Delta. And so basically what I had to do was go to his property and photograph him at his house and in his environment, living the retired life. So in this particular portrait, because you just can't, what's going to happen is when you're going to start dealing with people, and you're going to have to basically learn how to pose. See, you have to learn how to pose, but you also have to learn how to be able to tell that story to make it look like the person is doing whatever you're asked to photograph him in. So in this environment, it looks like he's just at home enjoying himself and just taking a look outside on his patio. And so basically I just had the gentleman take a look off to the side, photographed it to a way where it looked like it was natural, and to tell that story that he's a retired pilot. I think there's a couple of other ones here, but these are just basic, simple portraits that you can use to tell a story to complement it. Now, I'm not going to go all the way through this. This is something that you can go back and look up. Once again, here is the title. Pandemic convinces airline workers it's time for new horizons. I would also highly suggest to make sure that you follow the New York Times. Just constantly look at their website or any news outlet. But I would probably say the best news outlet to follow for good photography is probably going to be the Times, Time Magazine, National Geographic, and I had another one there, NPR. So that is that, and so we'll go again. We'll use another one. This is in regards to the voting law here in Georgia. And as you see, I don't have enough articles, has enough time there. But if you go to the New York Times, type in my name, you'll start to see a lot of these assignments that I have done over the last few years that will give you an idea of what's what. All right, so we're gonna hop out of this one. We're gonna go to another screen. Let's go to let's see. I think this is let's back out of this one, and it might be. Nope, I'll tell you what, we'll do it this way. And we'll see some other assignments I've done for Bloomberg. All right, so Bloomberg, yeah, I hate this, man. You can't see a lot of this stuff because of what's what, you know. All right, so we'll go to my website. We'll do it that way. We'll just go to my website, and I'll show you some of these in the tear sheets, because I've got some of them in my tear sheets. All right, so let's see. Here's a good example. All right, so this was an example where I had to go spend an afternoon with this gentleman here, who is Kyle Lewis of the New York Times, the Seattle Mariners. I had to get it right, the Seattle Mariners. And so basically, I had to photograph this gentleman working out, doing a series of workouts, and they also needed a portrait to complement the story. So we've got the other photos there. If you go to New York Times and type in my name once again, this will pop up. If you just type this story in right here, it'll pop right up, and you can see it. And so basically, what happens here is that I was able to photograph him doing his workouts, doing his training, and then provided them with what we call a hero shot portrait that led as the spread opener for the magazine and the news article. This is also one of the another story here of a portrait of Clarice Middleton, who was wrongfully convicted of fraud, or accused of fraud by bank employees when she was trying to cash a check at Wells Fargo. They did a bit right up on banking while black, and so they needed a dramatic portrait. So this is what we went for. This is the look they got, and this actually ran as a full vertical on the in the newspaper and on the website that you see there. This was the article that we were just trying to view about the voting rights here in Georgia, but this is the portrait that they had me go out to photograph. It is of Reginald Jackson, and basically what I needed to do is just tell a story about voting. Of course, I kind of looked around his office. His office is pretty bland, but then I happened to notice a photo of President Barack Obama behind him. He's a minister, and he's pushing the Voting Rights Act. So I thought the two went hand in hand, and this is how we got the portrait here. So once again, you see when I told you earlier, I said you're gonna have to learn how to connect everything, and then therefore people will be able to put two and two together. That's what photo editors are gonna want to see. They're gonna want to see that you can put these type things together and then get a cohesive portrait that tells the story. Okay, so this is the hardest part about the documentary photography experience, is having to do that. All right, also we've got a couple of other assignments here. This is one we can go take a look at. I think this is on Bitter Southerner. Let's go back to our internet, and let's go to let's create a, there we go. Let's go back here. Let's go to a Bitter Southerner. And this is from an assignment from last year in 2020 that I did for the Bitter Southerner. And so basically this was a photograph of John Jackson, who runs a farm here in Milledgeville, Georgia. And so I was able to go out and spend an entire morning with him out on the farm and photograph the things that he does. He's phenomenal. This is probably one of my favorite assignments and one of my favorite people to photograph. I've actually photographed this guy about 6 times, and I just photographed him about a month ago. But we went to the farm to tell a story about how he farms and everything. So we go and we look at these photos here. You have to tell the story about what he does on a daily basis, which is farm. He's picking his produce, and he took me around the farm and showed me the produce, and he explained about the farm itself, which is basically a veterans healing farm. So it provides a lot of outlets for those troops who have suffered from post-traumatic stress syndrome. They're able to go out on the farm and just enjoy nature and enjoy life as a whole. Excuse me. And so they're able to go out and relieve themselves mentally, and therefore it allows them to function in an environment. So this is the root of the farm, and it's also a working farm. So therefore it was a two-pronged story where I told a story about that. He himself started the farm because he had to deal with mental health himself, and so therefore it led to the farm taking off. So we had what we're getting is another hero portrait. A lot of times when you're going on these assignments, the photo editor is going to look for that particular hero shot that's going to tell the story and make the person larger than life. 99.9% they're going to look for this shot, and they're going to also look for, they like a lot of times they want tight shots. And if you see, we have the a pullback, and then we have a tight shot. So learning how to differentiate when to provide, how to bring these two together is another thing that's going to help you in your photographical journey, is that you're going to have to learn how to frame properly. And this is why I said documentary photography is not so much technical. It's more or less learning how to take what you've learned in a technical environment and then bringing it in to a functional environment, which is what you see here. So if I'm telling the story of a gentleman who is a farmer, I need to at least have him doing what he does. Then I need to show the individual the outcome of what he was doing, or what the goal was to be achieved, which is to show that, hey, I'm a farmer. This is what I produce. And we want to be able to say, hey, this is what we're doing here on Comfort Farms with our veterans. So we've got those photos. And then, of course, here we are. This is the shot that lets everybody know that, hey, he's on a farm. And you can't have a farm without the animals. So he's got his animal here, and he's got his farm, and we've got some crops growing. And so now people are able to see that, okay, this is a working farm that's farming, that's working on a daily basis. All right. And so then we look here and we get him at work. We have the farmer working. These are the kind of shots that tell the story. This is what we're talking about. Remember, I told you documentary photography is going to be about connecting the dots to tell a story. So without any hesitation, a person should be able to look at this particular photo and guess, what is he doing? He's working on a farm. He's doing something with produce, so 9 times out of 10, he has to be a farmer. And here we are. We have this okra right there. His okra was significant because it told a particular story about the seeds and where the seeds come from, which is a captivating part of this story. And so we've had that, and I think we've got a couple of more hero shots here. We've got the shot of him with can't quite remember what this is here, but we've got that particular shot, which also led as an opener, and we've also got another hero shot, once again holding his eggplant. This is what you want to achieve. This is probably one of my best photographed pieces that I've done in a while. It's because I had so much to work with. And let me preface this too. You're not going to have a lot of time sometimes when you're photographing people. Just by chance, John allotted a lot of time for us to shoot together. Therefore, the client had a lot to work with. So a lot of times people don't understand that when you get these assignments, you're only going to have maybe 20 to 30 minutes with the particular subject or people or group of people. So you have to be able to tell a lot of story in a short form. See, majority of the time, most photographers like to drop off 70, 80, 90 photos. Photo editors don't have enough time to go through that. So they prefer to go through 15 to 20, well, excuse me, I'd almost take that back. I'd say 10 to 20 of your strongest images. And then they take from that, they probably take about four or 5 or 6. And I think in this case, since we had a lot to work with, I think we had maybe 10 photos. I hadn't counted, so what I was going to say is nearly probably around about 10. Excuse me. All right. And so as we see here, here's a big pullback shot of him, of the farm with the hogs. And that's that. So, all right, we're going to go back and we're going to go do, see if I can find this story. see. Oxford American. This is a story I did some years ago. This is a personal project. Once again, this is what I was telling you about developing a personal project. And you see, this is 2016, so this has been 5 years ago. It's been quite a while since I did this. This is one of my earliest, if not, I think this is my first personal project that I decided to put together. And so basically what I did was I photographed this assignment, and well, not assignment rather, but I created my own personal assignment to where I wanted to tell a story about the workings of a taxidermist. And so working with that taxidermist, I was able to go in, set up a time, and document spending time with him, as you see here. Just basically telling the story about what he does on a daily basis. Provided the tools, provided the background photos. Here's his hero shot. And then let's, just showing larger than life animals, how he takes those same animals, and then he uses those animals to show what he does on a daily basis. And so people don't even know that they even do this kind of stuff. And so walking into a facility and you see a 6-foot gator on the floor is quite amazing. All right. And so this is just another example that I want to show you all of how to use photos to tell a story. So sometimes you're going to have what we call this filler, and then you're going to be able to get the hero shots involved. And then sometimes it's just going to be the particular hero shot that you'll wind up getting. All right. So let's go back to the text, and let's go over to the third point here in the chapter. It says, why do you want to shoot repertoire? A lot of times you have to ask yourself, what are you doing this just for money? Or are you doing this because you want to be able to tell stories? Or are you wanting to get a particular point across? When you go to look at repertoire, you have to learn to realize that you're going to find moments and be able to tell stories that you normally aren't going to just readily present themselves to you. And so you just have to be careful not to overanalyze those situations. We discussed this earlier. I'm going to bring it back again. You're going to see me saying this a lot throughout this course is don't overanalyze, because what happens is when you overanalyze, you miss opportunities. So once again, don't overanalyze, because if you overanalyze, you're going to miss opportunities. And so what you want to do is you want to be able to take those living images that you have and then make the most of them right there on the spot. Remember, I told you all the technical aspects of photography that you're going to learn, you're going to apply that to this. You're not going to use lighting and all of that kind of good stuff. You're not going to, sometimes you have time to do that for hero shots, but when it comes to straight repertoire, like as you see in this scene here, 9 times out of 10, this is probably just a on the fly shot of these drag queens here in this caption here. And it's basically, I can guarantee a photographer probably just walked over and was like, hey, can I get a photo? Or they either turned and allowed him to take that particular photo. Then you see these kind of instances here where this is, you're on the spot, you're right there. This guy's like, hey, I'm going to commit suicide. And boom, this is a captivating, gripping image of basically, we know what's going on here without even having to ask. Either one, he's been stopped by the police, they're coming to get him, and he's going to kill himself off, or either he's maybe in a hostage situation, or he's readily about to commit suicide. So these are situations where these are not staged. You take what you get, you hope that you get the good shot, and then you move on from there. Okay. All right. We're going to stop here on this particular part. I'm going to let you all read this, and we're going to revisit. Next week, we're going to visit 4, 5, and we'll do a little bit of 6. And so we'll talk about some other aspects of that. I do want to go ahead and show you all the photos that from the video that I was discussing with you about my assignment that I had, and basically about the house. Now, remember I told you we were photographing a gentleman who was a wholesaler. And so this is the wholesaler here, and this is the house. So we wanted to be able to connect the 2 and 2. So at this time of this recording, the story has not ran yet. And so hopefully the story will run. And so we'll be able to pretty much be able to get this up and going per se. And so the story will revolve around him wholesaling, looking to buy a purchase, and that the purchase, these wholesalers driving up the prices and the cost and making it hard for people to buy houses. That's the root of the story. As you see, I just basically just photographed the gentleman in different situations, in different styles. Just wanted to be able to just have something, to symbolize that we've got the house, the beat up house. Who actually, there's a squatter actually living in the back that you can't see him, but he was actually living in the back. But be able to show that the house is, vacant and it was up for sale, and he was interested in getting it. Let's move on. And then just some kind of different shots there, showing him, a little frustrated. I told him just kind of give me something, you're thinking deep in thought. We've got this particular shot here, which is what I call a little bit of a pullback of this shot, a little bit more of a pullback of that one. And now we've got a little bit more pullback shot. This is probably one of my favorites because it shows him in front of the house. I don't know, like I said, at this time of recording, I don't know which one they're going to use. So we've got that one. We've got this particular shot of him, just like he's thinking. And then we've got another shot of him thinking from another angle, which shows the house in the back. And then we've got we've got what we call a quarter shot of him, a quarter length shot of him. Just a little bit of off center. And see, a lot of times you're running, when it comes to framing, you're going to have to learn how to frame your subjects in contention with what you're photographing. So with this, I wanted to be able to photograph him and also, once again, highlight the house because that's what the client asked to photograph. So, all right. And next up, we don't want to rate that 0. That's a good shot. All right, here we go. We've got took him to another portion of the house, which is, as you saw in the video, where that was behind me. And then you've got just a couple of other shots that we wanted to work with there. So, all right. So in closing today, I hope that you all were able to get a good example of exactly how and the purpose of what documentary photography is that you're able to tell a story through photos and to be able to captivate the viewer just by right there on hand to tell that story. So, you should be able to look at a story, look at a photo and tell exactly what you're trying to achieve. If you can't do that, then you really need to go back and reassess what the shot itself. And remember, don't overanalyze. All right. A lot of people like to overanalyze. Overanalyzing, once again, allows you to what? Miss opportunities. So, all right. So once again, I want you all to find a personal project this week. Find something, find a family member, tell a story. And then we're going to come back and we're going to look at some of those photos, and then we're going to talk about those photos. We're going to start analyzing each other's work and start looking at how to tell stories properly. Once again, this is a learning. This is nothing. There's not going to be a whole lot of we're not going to have a situation where people are going to come in with a tree and then say, hey, I took a picture of this tree. No. I need you all to go out and, there's restaurants to work with. There's businesses that you can go to. There's inspirational sports stories. We've got all kinds of things that you can do to tell a story. So we're going to look for different ways to tell those stories. So next week, we'll be back with another topic here. And I wanted to just bring this one to you all and get you all started off with a good booster to show that we're able to tell stories through photos. Once again, for those who need any references, you can always go to my website, mattodomphotography.com. Also, I will have a list of other photographers that you can check out their work on the next podcast. And I hope that you enjoyed yourselves, and thank you once again, and look forward to seeing you all next week.